Hello everyone, it's Kay here, and I've got another project for you, sponsored by Handy Hippo Crafts. That's handyhippocrafts.co.uk, your really one-stop go-to shop for crafting materials at great competitive prices, featuring a lot of the top craft manufacturers. So that said, I'm here to share another project with you. I am again using the 6x6 white card and envelopes. A fabulous bargain if ever there was one. 250 GSM for the card and 100 GSM for the envelopes. A girl can't really ask for more than that in the crafting arena. The quality of these cards, as I've already said, is absolutely outstanding. It really is quality personified and does great justice to your card making creations. So I'm going to move that one out of the way, because the other thing I'm here to bring you is a delightful pack. I wasn't actually aware of it myself until it came through from Handy Hippo, and I have to say, if you are a person that likes shaker cards, which are very much on trend at the moment, if you are a person who has perhaps had a few issues around how to go about making them and that kind of thing, this is a kit specifically designed for you, and it's called the Shaker Card Maker Kit, and it's designed by Cheery Lynn, who is really up there amongst the top echelon of die makers. This kit, I have to say, is absolutely gorgeous. It's a Baby Rattle. Now, there are going to be babies coming into the world from here to infinity. Therefore, this would be a wonderful investment. And when you see what you're actually investing in, you will be very, very impressed, I hope, as I was. This is undeniably a wonderful, wonderful kit for anyone who likes shaker cards, and I personally do very much. So I'm going to move that slightly out of the main focus here and show you what the kit consists of. You have two, you'll see I've nibbled out of them, 2 sheets of foam. I'll pull them out, excuse the rattling, I should have done this. And basically you can see the thickness of the foam here, and on either side is backing paper. You can, as you can see from this, use this in your die cutting machine, albeit very carefully, I have to say, but because it's foamy you can pinch it together, and it's no worse than using a couple of sheets of good quality cards. So you may have to play with your plates a little bit. I just used my white cutting plate and the grey plate on top of that, and it went through with no issues whatsoever. So you get 2 sheets of that. You then have 2 sheets of acetate. Now this looks blue for the simple reason that it is. On either side of the acetate there is a film which needs to be removed prior to using it in your die cutting machine. But again, you can see I have used it to cut out bits and pieces. I'm not taking it out of the folder because, as with all acetates, they do collect dust, and you need them to be relatively dust free to give a nice finish to your material or whatever you're making. And these are 2 pieces at 6.8, the same size as the foam. You then have tiny little metallic components, and these say boy and girl, with the statutory caution about being aware of little hands and fingers that might decide it's all shiny and they like to play with it. So you really would need to be careful. The components are tiny, but the expectation is you would use these for the shaker aspect of your card, which I must admit I did try, but I've not used them in this instance because, for the sake of filming, I've kept it to the bare minimum, and I have run them through my machine just to see what they look like, and they are really very, very pretty. With this you get 2 embossing mats, which are absolutely ideal. You sandwich them in between your card and the embellishment and put them through your machine, and then because they're on tiny little elements there that just keep it all together, you can then just break them up into little pieces. I should have done it really, but I've been working on getting my cards together to show you. So that is the aspect there for the shaker. Needless to say, you can use whatever you choose. And then finally you have the dies themselves, which are actually quite sizable. It wouldn't do if you were to be making, excuse the traffic, it wouldn't do if you were to be making extra large cards, although they would have a place if you use them in multimedia, for example, and made that as your centerpiece. They're not showing up dreadfully well there. Well, I can show them on the cutout here. I have cut extra ones of these because I thought they were huge fun. But if I put that on the back of my hand, you can see they're quite a good size. They're not going to be lost in translation at all. And you get your base of the shaker card, which is this one, and it cuts out and relieves itself from the die very simply. And then the other one, if I've got one of those still here, which of course I do. No, I don't. I haven't got the other one cut out. I've used it. But essentially what you get then is this die, which is marginally thinner than the base die, because of course they sit atop one another like this with the components and everything. If I bring that in so you can see, they fit together like so, and you then have your shaken component and so on the top. So that is the whole of the kit, which I think you'll agree is absolutely outstanding. Everything that you need to just make as many shaker cards as you like to. Great for selling at fairs and fetes and giving to your friends and family. The other good thing about this is that you have a whole series of instructions on how to best use what is in the pack, and it goes through everything from what you should find in the pack directly up to how to come up with a finished rattle. So you know, there is no need to be worried at all about whether you could manage the kit or not. It is very straightforward. Moving along quickly, because I don't want this to run into a long time. Here is my card that I made for this project, and it is just a delight, I have to say. You know, it's all about the parents really, and you celebrating the fact that the baby's born. Sorry, I'm eating my words here. Inside the rattle I have put some little cut out flowers, some little silvery bits and some little beads, because it is a little person that's come into the world, to cover the makings of the card. Around the edge of this rattle I've actually put some very fine trim from my stash. I've cut out some tiny little flowers here. I've used a doily on the background and more of the American cardstock with the punch that I featured last time on my video, and it just adds to a really delightful commemorative card for the happy parents. Well, I think it is. I hope you feel the same way. I've used a little bit of seam binding on a ribbon here with a flat back pearl, and in the handle of the rattle I have just placed a little rolled rose, because what you do find is that you need to cover, because the sponge for the kit is quite thick, you need to hide away that as best you can, but that doesn't detract from the overall outcome of the card, which I hope you find very attractive. Now I'm going to show you here, I've got together things for a little girl card, because we can't leave the girls out. I have pre-planned and got everything together as I need it, just to try and save time, and this will be different from the little boy card, needless to say. So I've got all my components here. Here is my 6.6 card, and I will have to work facing me, but hopefully it won't take away from what I'm doing. I've got some pink spotty dotty card here, which I've cut using a border punch. Now Handy Hippo keep all of these punches. This is Martha Stewart. They may not have this particular one, but I haven't checked the site, but they do keep Martha Stewart punches, so it's very probable that it's there. I've cut this about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the main body of the card, and I'm just putting on now some glue. I would normally use a high-tack tape or something of that nature, but I just want to get this laid down on the card so as I'm not taking up too much of your time. So that will go in the centre of the card with a nice border all around, like so. I have then got my, oh, there's my little doily. No, we're going to plough on without the doily. Sorry people, I thought I had that on the table, but it really makes not much of a muchness, because this will sit on here very, very nicely. Now I've cut out the two aspects of the rattle, one being the back plate of the rattle, which is clear and is designed to hold all the little shaker elements in the centre. I've added the foam on top of that. You then have to peel, and it's a bit of a difficult thing to do because it is a very fine backing paper, and it's quite greedy because it doesn't want to let go of the foam. So you'll have to bear with me a moment while I try and... Here we go. Once you get a piece of it started, you can see it comes off really, really nicely. But this is actually the next part of your rattle bit, and I'm just roughly placing it just to remind myself of where I want the rattle to go on at the end. I've then got my piece of acetate here, which you'll see, and all I've done is cut up the top aspect of the rattle, and it is dusty, so bear with me. And I'm just going to then place that. Ooh, there is a lot of static with acetate. Oh, I'm making a real hash of this, I am sorry. Come off. There is a lot of static with the acetate, and you do need to bear that in mind, because it will make all these lovely little components that you've taken time to put into the rattle jump about as they have done. There are little mats that you can purchase to reduce static, but it's mainly for the acetate part, not necessarily for the outside edge of the foam, because you do want that to anchor well. Needless to say, you do not need any gaps at all between the foam and the actual acetate and the backing of the rattle, because if you do, all these little components in time will actually come out. So I'm going to try, that's better, and anchor that again like so, which keeps all of those little trinkety bits safe. I've then gone back to my glue, and you do need just a little bit, because clearly you've covered what was the sticky side of the foam with the acetate. Don't overdo it, you don't need that, actually coming out and spilling over to the acetate. You want to keep that as clear and as clean as you can. And then you place the top element over the top of the rattle, like so, as best you can. And already you've got your little shaker element there. Just line it up very, very carefully and get it as central as you can. Obviously I've rushed this a little because I don't want to make this video too long, but everything that I wanted inside the rattle is there, as you can see. I've now got my glue gun, which I'm hoping will keep me where I need to be, and some ribbon for the little girl one. And what I'm going to do is just run this hot glue, and again I am rushing. Please take your time because it is important, but this is a very fine ribbon, and it just does act as a sandwich layer between the shapes of the dies and covers up the foam, which you really don't need on show. So I'll just keep plugging away at this, as you can see. Don't worry about all the strands. If you run your your heat gun over it, it does get rid of all of the little glue strands quite effectively, so no one knows how this has all come together. I hope, oh, I'm not even on shot, sorry. I'm trying to bring it into the actual video here. It's very difficult, oops, to work and have the camera where you need it to be as well, but I think you're getting the gist of what I'm trying to achieve here. Ooh, now I've knocked the tripod. A little bit more here just to anchor it all down, like so. And then all you need to do is trim off, move your glue gun, and it does just nestle quite nicely around the contours of the die. Like I say, I've rushed this and I do apologise, but it needs more time, it really does, but it's still pretty. And you can see what I'm aiming for, which is good. I'm then, with the residual of the ribbon, going to make a bow. 2 little rabbit ears, like so. Cross them over, tuck one of the loops up through the base, and pull. It's not a perfect bow, but it works in this instance. Then swallowtail the ends of the ribbon just to give them a little bit of detail and prettiness. That then can sit on the front there with a bit more of the glue, like so. You don't need the rattle to be too high up on the page because you do want sentiments and so on to be placed onto the card. I need a little bit more glue for the rose in the centre here, which just adds a little bit of a nice finisher because it is for the mums and dads. I don't think brand new babies are totally aware of what's going on, do you? And then we place this with lots and lots of glue. Again, please, you could take more time than I am, but I just wanted to show you how this all comes together so nicely. That then would go on the front like so. The glue's letting go, but you get the principle of the idea, I hope. I then want to put my little flat back pearl on there, and I have a little sentiment here which I've mounted on pop-ups, which we'll put up in the corner or indeed down here, and I think you'll agree it makes a very nice. I'm going to have to do it with this one, I think. It's not going to work otherwise for the purposes of the film. Once you've got your components in, you really do then have to work at getting everything layered and put into place properly. Now I dare not lift this up because it's not dry yet, but hopefully you get the gist of where I am with this. You can, needless to say, add more ribbon, you can add more flowers, you can really do whatever you like in a very, very simple way, even if it's just to put little pearls over the little accents of the die like so, and it just adds those really nice finishing touches to your work. Yeah, that'll do nicely. So, you know, it's basic, it is purely to show how the kit works, and, you know, really and truly, although it's not gone awfully well today, you can see from the little boy card the potential for the shaker rattle. It really is up to you what you do with it once it's in your hands, and I just think it's absolutely delightful. So apologies for trying to get the components down, but I do like to show you how it all comes together, and I hope that you feel you'd like to go along to Handy Hippo. They do have other kits for this, and just check it out. They are absolutely great value for money. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Take care everyone. Bye bye for now.